Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajah. For the love of Imam Abi Abdullah al-Husayn, with the loudest of our voices, sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajah. For the love of our beloved Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba, with the loudest of our voices, sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajah. For the purification of our hearts and hastening of the reappearance of our beloved, the awaited Savior, with the loudest of our voices, sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Once again, my dear brothers and sisters, lovers and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, we thank Almighty Allah for gracing us with this second night where we all try our level best to play our part towards the mission of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Last night we looked at Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam and social cohesion. And we encouraged ourselves and our dear brothers and sisters not just to love Ahlul Bayt, but to implement the teachings of Ahlul Bayt and to ensure that the love we have for them in our hearts manifests in whatever we do in our lives. That is the essence of true love for Ahlul Bayt. The verses I've just quoted, no doubt, is a known verse, if not to all of us, but to most of us. Quran 3, verse 34, Surah 2, Ali Imran. Alladhina yunfikuna fi sarra'i wa dharra. Those who spend during easiness and during hardship. Then wal kadhimin al-ghayz, you know very well. And they are those who restrain their anger. Wal afina anin nas, and they pardon people. Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin. Indeed, Allah loves those who are kind and good. Now, departing from this beautiful verse, our topic of tonight, inshallah, is Imam Hasan's alayhi salam leadership, model of fatherly compassion. Examination of tonight will be of the following two stages. The first stage will look at the rational and reactive personality in the legacy of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. And then the last stage of our examination, inshallah, will focus on addressing collective mindset crisis in the history of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Mu'minin and mu'minat, as I said last night, just take one lesson from whatever we are able to say out of the tawfiq of Allah, is to appreciate by the end of these discussions who is a rational personality and who is a reactive personality. And the aim is for us to be rational personalities as opposed to becoming reactive personalities where we just react to something but we are not necessarily proactive. It will be a bit of philosophical, so I beg your pardon, pay attention to this, inshallah. First stage of the examination, let's look at the difference between these two personalities, rational and reactive. And for us to appreciate these two personalities, we need to mention some important points. Number one point is to ask a question. What is the psychological basis of our behaviors? We all behave. Coming to the mosque is a behavior. Reciting the Holy Quran is a behavior. na'udhu billah, to cheat, to rig, to undermine. These are all behaviors. So what's the psychological basis of our behaviors? Now, when you examine our behaviors, either from the Islamic perspective or from the psychological perspective, you realize that the main basis of our behaviors is what scholars call gariza to jalb al-lazza or gariza to daf' al-alam. The instinct to seek pleasure and the instinct to avoid pain. Every behavior I and you put on goes back to these two reasons. It's either I want to bring pleasure to myself or I want to avoid any pain coming to me. Bottom line, these two instincts are given birth by one strong instinct, gariza to hubbizat, the instinct of love for self. Why does one gossip? It's because of the instinct of love for self. I love gossiping. It makes me happy. Although I know it's bad. It's instinct for love for self. Why does people or do people backbite? Instinct of love for self. Because I want to bring pleasure to myself. And I want to avoid pains. Why do you go to work? Instinct of love for self. So remember this, that's the first point. Second point is to look at the drives and motives behind whatever we do in life. Because without drives and motives, we'll not be able to do anything in life. Whether drives behind good things we do or drives behind bad things we do in life. There are two main types of drives or motives. The first one is biological. And the second one is psychological. Kindly please pay attention to this. Then you will appreciate our personalities. Biological drive, typical example, hunger. Every biological drive is a drive that cannot be replaced. It has to be taken care of. So I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I must take water to quench the thirst. I must get some food to satisfy myself. So that's biological. My interest point is on psychological drive. Typical example of psychological drive is anger. To become upset. That person angers me. I get frustrated when I see that person. I take different routes. Anger is out of psychological drive. And psychological drive simply means it's a drive. If you truly want to change it for something good, you should be able to do so. So let me give an example for us to appreciate what I'm trying to put across. Say, for example, someone or somebody angers you, frustrates you. You've got three options. One option is to keep quiet. The second option is to deal with it rationally. And the third option is to react towards it unnecessarily. And keep quiet. You're not going to say anything. He angers you. She frustrates you. Up to you. Or no. You want to react anyhow. You're going to insult the person back. You're going to attack the person back. The third one is what Islam invites us to do. That no, I deal with it rationally and intellectually. Remember, we're discussing drives here. Because Allah comes with Surah Fussilat, you know the ayah last night, we quoted the ayah 34. Idfa billati hiya ahsan. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Somebody angers you, shows that person love. Somebody frustrates you, be a source of consolation to that person. By so doing, you are becoming a rational personality as opposed to becoming reactive personality. For example, you look at Surah Al-Furqan. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala makes it very clear, verse 72. وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. when they pass by lagwi, something unpleasant, something not acceptable, they walk humbly from it. No, again, you look at the same chapter 63. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. When the ignorant speak to them, when someone shows them ignorance, they say peace. That is becoming a rational personality. So that's number 2. The third point will even make us appreciate more ways to refine and regulate drives. Because if I cannot regulate any drives in my life, then I will not be a rational personality. I will remain reactive. Because as I mentioned earlier on, rational personality is someone who is always productive and proactive. And the only Prophet of Islam makes it crystal clear. Tafa'alu bil khairi tajidu. Be proactive in doing good. Wherever you find yourself, good will come to you and says to take me how much you want to take me. But some of us are not proactive. We are only reactive. We're waiting for problems to occur. Then we start jumping from pillar to post. Islam says no. By doing so, you are just a reactive personality. I'm waiting for haram to happen. Then I jump on how to solve the haram. Be proactive. So how do you regulate any drive and motive in our lives? Kindly look at this. There are 2 opinions here. We have Islamic opinion and we have psychological opinion. Psychology is like Freud. Those of you are interested in psychology, you hold the opinion that, say for example, you getting pushed through a drive to do something wrong. From the psychological perspective, the only way to overcome it is to look outwardly and not inwardly. Outwardly how? Say for example, there is haram you're going to do. Psychologists are of the view that what will stop you from doing haram are 2 things. Ana and alal a'la. Ego and super ego. Don't take this on a face value. What is ego from the psychological perspective? Ego simply means some external factors may be around and because of this I cannot do that evil. Example. Say for example, I'm away from the mosque and I'm invited to sit around a table where alcohol is served. But as I'm about to sit and I see Maulana come in, what will you do? Ahsantum. You will either hide or run away. You see people when they are in Karbala or Najaf, they become holier than thou. The moment they get onto the plane coming back home, they switch 120 degrees. So from the psychological perspective, they say some external factors will help us to overcome certain things. This is what they call ego. But they've got what is called super ego. They call it anal a'la in Arabic. What is super ego? Your values, how you were brought up, should also be factors to help you not to indulge in any sin or wrongs. Now what interests me is the Islamic way to regulate and refine motives. Habibi, Islam says if you truly want to regulate any drive in your life, appreciate the roles of self and intellect, nafs and aql. What's the difference between these two? Aql processes and tells you this is right, this is wrong. Aql doesn't take a decision in our lives. You know what takes decision? Nafs. Me. I will never sit with them anymore. I hate him. You know that guy, when I go to the mosque, I don't want to see him anymore. You know, when they give me niyaz, I don't want that guy to give me niyaz. Ana wa nafsin wa ma sawaha fa'alhamaha fujuraha taqwaha. Allah swears by the nafs and the proportions given to it. What are the proportions? fujur, and taqwa. Your nafs can either lead you this way or that way. So Islam says to regulate any drive, you need to appreciate the rules of this. But if you take it more into spirituality, they call it لذة عقلية لذة حسية. Intellectual tastes and sensory tastes. Sensory taste is very temporary. Intellectual taste is permanent. What is expected of all of us is to allow intellectual taste to overpower sensory taste. Let me give you examples. Coming to the mosque to pray. Sometimes, the drive behind it tells you, it's too far. I'm too tired. I cannot make it. If you listen to this, inside you telling you, and you stay, it means you have surrendered to sensory tastes. But if you tell yourself, no, Allah will be happy, let me go, I will get some sawab, it means you are allowing intellectual tastes. Sensory taste is very temporary. You've got your phone, haram pops on it. Sensory taste tells you, watch it, no big deal. Life is too short. Enjoy, my life is too short, habibi. But intellectual taste, no, it will destroy your soul. Don't do that. No. You want to learn how to recite Quran. Sensory taste, and you've got a lot on your plate. You're going to work, uni, it's so cumbersome. Intellectual testing, no, I must do it. Now, when we examine the life of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, you realize that Imam alayhi salam is a true manifestation of the victory of intellectual tastes over sensory tastes. Look at some examples. Imam wasn't a reactive personality. Our beloved Imam was a rational and intellectual personality. Servant working in the house, having a jug of water. Imam was sitting there. The jug fell on the head of Imam. What will be your reaction? It's a rhetorical question. Somebody coming here and he steps on your toe. What will be your reaction? Will you be rational or will you be reactive? Your son and daughters in the house, or your wife, your husband, make mistakes. Will you be rational? That's the point I'm trying to put across. Or will you be reactive? Imam looks at this servant. The servant then recited the ayah I quoted earlier on. وَالْكَاذِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ Allah. And those who swallow their anger. Imam looked at the servant and said, كَظَمْتُ غَيْظِي. I've swallowed my anger. Then the servant said, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. And there are those who pardon people when they wrong them. Imam said, Afawtu ank, I've pardoned you. The servant said, no. Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves muhsinin. Imam said, from today, you are not a servant or slave in this house. You are one of the children of this house. That is being rational. Akilibana. Let's learn from the Ahlul Bayt. Salamullah alayhim ajma'in. Last night we looked at some example. Let me add another example tonight. When it comes to his generosity, Imam alayhi salam is very rational, intellectual. This gentleman came to the house. He knocked at the door. And he began with a long poem. In the poem he said, Anta Jawad, Anta Jawadun wa Mu'tamad, Kana Abuka Qatilul Fasaqa. You are generous and you are reliable. Your father dealt with the wretched. Imam rushed inside the house. He brought darahim, money, and he gave it to him. He looked at Imam. He said, but you're not asking me why I'm here. He said, no, we do not ask for people because of the sharm of the people. That is why Imam Hasan alayhi salam would say, if only the sea knew the virtue of our generosity, the sea will be dry out of shame. That is being rational personality. So that's first stage of the examination. Second stage of the examination, mu'minin and mu'minat, is addressing collective mindset crisis in the history of Imam Hasan. Here we'll look at so many examples from his life, inshallah. Islam has its own way of addressing collective mindset crisis or collective intellect crisis. And sociologists, psychologists, they've got their own way. Somebody may ask me a question. What do you refer to as collective mindset? It's when people come together to decide. That's collective mindset. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's crisis. Sometimes it may deprive me from my independent way of thinking. And if I were to be left alone, I would have thought in a different way. So that's what I'm trying to address here. The crisis of collective mindset. Now, Allah Ta'ala, if you look at Misan, you look at Surah Saba, 46. There's an ayah. Kindly pay attention to this ayah. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَعِظُكُمْ بِوَاحِدَةٍ أَن تَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ مَثْنَى وَفُرَادًا ثُمَّ تَتَفَكَّرُوا مَا بِصَاحِبِكُم مِّن جِنَّةٍ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا نَذِيرٌ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. Allah says, إِنَّمَا أَعِظُكُمْ بِوَاحِدَةٍ. I am counseling you, advising you. But one thing, what do? Stand for Allah in pairs or individually. Understand this ayah. Then you think. You then realize your companion referring to Prophet is not a mad person. They were calling Prophet mad. So Allah said, you know what? The reason why some of you are calling him mad, because you are getting influence of others. It's crisis, a collective mindset crisis. Allah says now, be either in pairs or everybody think independently. Once you are independently, you realize that ma bi sahibukum min jinnah. Prophet is not a mad person. How many a times people take decision not because they want to, because of somebody's influence? That's collective mindset crisis. Islam wants us to be independent when it comes to our thinking. Psychologists and sociologists have the same opinion. They said sometimes people who are great thinkers get influenced by others because they want to think with others. And collective mindset crisis has certain features. And I'll give you examples to appreciate this. First feature is what? Emotional impulsivity. People just become emotional. Second feature is lack of rational thinking. Third feature, lack of critical thinking. And the last feature, extremism in decision. Now let's look at an example. From time to time, you see how many people are vilified online. How many people in our community, people take their names and they start vilifying them. Most of those people who support that, it's not because they thought of it. They just become reactional and emotional. That's what we call collective mindset crisis. Somebody write a letter to vilify somebody, say in the community, for example. He comes to you. Come to tell me. Do you know that guy? Look. Instead of you thinking independently, you carry it on. Then a teacher at the end becomes terrible. What I'm trying to say is that if you truly want to be a rational person, don't allow anyone to influence you negatively. Make your own thinking. Without making your own thinking, you will blame someone towards the end. So that's one point in this regard. Second point, mu'minin and mu'minat, is a question. Are people collectively always right? Think about this. There are so many articles written in this, but I don't have time, so I'm just shorting it. People collectively are not always right. And when there is crisis, you see three things. Number one, chaos. Number two, the ringleaders who are causing it. And number three, they all will be singing the same language. Later on, they tend to regret. Question. Why do people accept rumors? Rumor. Because rumor is what triggers collective mindset crisis. Be careful, brothers and sisters. Anyone who takes a rumor without independent thinking, you are irrational. The first reason as to why people accept rumor is what they call indharul akhtar. Those who spread it, they put fear in you. If you will let him, you're going to have a problem. If you let her, you're going to have a problem. If you do it this way, they put fear. Number two is selfish reason. Because this person is leading it is right. Because I know him, we never had any problem, so it's right. You are irrational per the Islamic teaching. You are reactive per the Islamic teaching. And the third one is sort of a natural reason. Each one of us has this qalaq fear in us. Innal insana khulika halua. Insan has fear. What if this? What if this? What if I don't? Now I beg you, brothers and sisters, look at the life of Imam Hasan. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. You know, Imam faced two types of collective mindset crisis. It never happened to any of our Imams. These two types, crisis, made things difficult. The first one was external, and the second one was internal. Look at the external crisis that Imam faced and how he dealt with it. Umayyad, they opposed his personality. They opposed his leadership. Not only that, they said Imam Hasan is too weak. Na'udhu billah. No. They said, Na'udhu billah, Imam Hasan is a womanizer. He only married and divorced. And they would say to people, this man cannot lead. Astaghfirullah. They would say to people, he cannot manage anything. How did Imam approach it? I'll give you an example. A prominent tribe in Kufa. During that time, got carried away and influenced by Umayyad. To such an extent, Imam Hasan went to them and he said to them, I heard you paying allegiance to Umayyah. Why are you deceiving me and the religion? Umayyad tried their level best. They spread rumor and propaganda. When Imam Hasan alayhi salam went to Madain in Iraq, they attacked him on his knees. They struck arrows on the knees of Imam. Imam falling down, bleeding profusely. But how did he approach it? That's my point of interest, brothers and sisters. Wallah, he wasn't reactional. He was rational. Imam said, you know what? If you don't accept my leadership, okay, now try different leader and see the difference between I and the person. Don't accept my leadership? Okay, try Muawiyah. Let's see. Imam did not wage war against anyone. But the most difficult one was the internal crisis. I tell you, sometimes people around you, they are the biggest fitna. And you may not know. By the time you know, it's late. I'm not saying go and start doubting everybody around you. I'm going to give you only 4 examples, and then we leave it for tomorrow, inshallah. Internally, it was very difficult for Imam Hasan alayhi salam. First example is the example of Hijr ibn Adi al-Kindi. You know what he said to Imam? Great person, Hijr. Ya laytaka mitta qabla an tubayya Muawiyah. Raja'u masruruna bima ahabbu wa raja'na muragimin aw mugramin bima akrahana. He said to Imam, I wish you died before you paid allegiance, before you signed the treaty with Muawiyah. Yes. Yeah, later commit. I wish you know more. Then he said, you know what? They came and they left happy with what they wanted. We came and we left sad with what we hate. What will be your reaction? That is my message of tonight, wallahi. What will be your reaction? And you know, where did Hijr said that? Publicly. In front of people. Everyone saw it. Imam held Hijr, he walked with him. You know what he said to him? I know you are not like them, Hijr. You are a good person. Your thinking is not like their thinking. Wallah, I did, that's Imam. I did only what I did to protect you people. That's being rational. Imam Hasan, this is our Imam. Let's look at our akhlaq. And look at the akhlaq of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. There are a lot, I promise you, there are a lot we can learn from Imam Hasan. Second example is Adi, the son of Hatim al-Ta'i. Adi, you know Adi very well. Adi died during the Thawratul Tawwabin, the repenters uprising after Karbala. You know what he said to Imam Hasan? Great guy. He said to him, Wallah, you removed us from justice to injustice. He said to him, you transformed us from a stage of justice to the stage of injustice by doing what you did. Then he said to Imam, we were in haqq, now you brought us to batil. Allah, 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 Allah. Imam Hasan looked at him. Again, he called him aside. He said, Wallah, Adi, I am more resilient than Muawiyah and everybody around him. And I have the patience of withstanding them. But whatever I did, لِدَفْعِ الْقَتْلِ أَنْكُمْ وَأَكُفَّ بَعْضَكُمْ عَنْ بَعْدٍ آخَرٍ, is to stop bloodshed and to make sure bloodshed doesn't continue later after us. That's Adi. Third example, Malik ibn Damra. I don't know, I'm sure you heard this name before. Great companion. He came to Imam Hasan, he looked at him, he said, I can't fathom what you did. Habibi. Imam asked him, he said, I don't understand. What did you do? Why did you do what you did? We have numbers. We could stand our ground. You know what Imam said? Again, on one-to-one. Inni khashitu an yattassal muslimuna an wajhi al-ardi fa'aradtu an yakuna lid-dini na'in. He said, I'm worried that the bloodshed will not be just here. It will be all over the show. The reason as to why I did what I did is because I still want someone to call and hold the banner of Islam. وَأَنْ يَكُونَ لِلدِّينِ نَاعٍ. I did what I did so that there will be at least an individual out there who will call for the deen. Imam said to him, trust what I did. This was internal, collective mindset crisis. Last example was the most painful one. That's also internal, a companion of Imam. Sulaiman bin Sard al-Khuza'i. I'm sure some of you heard this name before. These are all good companions actually. Yeah? So he came to Imam al-Hasan. Allahu Akbar. His salam to Imam is what? Assalamu alayka ya mudhill al-mu'minin. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Barabar. What is that? Assalamu alayka ya mudhill al-mu'minin. Salams unto you, O the most miserable of all believers. Allahu Akbar. But guess what Imam did? This is my final point. Guess what he did? Did he react? Apana. No. Imam was so rational, calm. He said to him, Marhaban bi shi'atina al-ma'rufuna bin nasiha was-suhba wal-istiqama. Welcome our Shias. You are known for being good companions. You are known for being good advisors. No. You are known for being steadfast. Huh? Baba, someone is telling me you are mudhil. Can I and you do that? We have to stop being rational, reactional. Then Imam said to him, I did whatever I did for your sake. For you to be miserable is so better for me than for you to be slain. Wallahi, a lot to learn from Imam. Very rational human being. The Imam of Imam al-Hussein. The first child to put happiness and smile on the face of Prophet Muhammad. First grandchild in the family. Put smile on the face. So he taught us mu'minin and mu'minat what? Number one, don't always follow crowd. Think before. Apply common sense. Number two, don't be too emotional. But number three, regardless of how you are treated, be respectful to people. That's my takeaway from these lessons. Upon all that he did, they struck multiple arrows on his janaza. Someone asked me a question. Where does the masa'ib of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam begins? Yes? I looked at the person, I said, where do we start? It obviously begins with the masa'ib of the Holy Prophet, isn't it? But the second greatest musibah of Imam al-Hasan is when they broke the ribs of Fatima. Yes. That second musibah because he was the elderly son of the house. No. When Fatima Salamullah alayha went to the mosque of the Holy Prophet to deliver that powerful sermon of Fadak, on her way back home, Hassan on her right, Hussein on her left, Mughira appeared from behind and smacked the right eye of Fatima. Imam Hasan would say now and then, after the departure of Fatima, whenever he would come across Mughira, he would look at him and say, Anta alladhi darabta ummi Fatima hatta admaytaha. You were the one who slapped my mother Fatima until you made her bleed profusely. So yes, the second musibah of Imam Hasan is the musibah of Fatima to Zahra. When Imam Hasan and Hussein returned back home, Asma gave them the food, isn't it? Imam Hasan will look at Asma and will say to her, when have you known us to eat without our mom? Asma would say, Hassan, Hussein, go to the room, your mom is there. Allahu Akbar. Hassan will throw his body on the body of Fatima. He would call out, Amma, Amma, Amma. And there was painful quietness. Allahu Akbar. The person asked, what's the third musibah of Imam al-Hasan? I said, oh Allah, the musibah is the musibah of Kufa, isn't it? When the enemy struck in the middle of the head of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the first persons to rise of Amir are Hassan and Hussein. Hassan on the right, Hussein on the left. Amir al-Mu'mineen bleeding profusely. He would be limping and limping and limping. When they were about to get to the house, Amir al-Mu'mineen looked at them. Hassan Jan, Hussein Jan, can you allow me to walk to the house? They said, Father, you struggling, you in pain? He said, no, I do not want Zainab to see me like this. I said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, they slapped them in Sham. I said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, when Zainab was doing ruku and sajida, she could not stand upright. Why? Because they starve them, make life difficult for them. But I leave you with this line. The next musibah of Imam al-Hasan is when they chopped off the body of Qasim into pieces. Allah, Allahu Akbar. When they struck Qasim, Qasim was falling on the ground calling, Agithni ya Amma, Agithni ya Amma. By the time Hussein got to the body, it was only the flesh of Qasim scattered all over. Ala la'natullah, ala al-qawmi al-zalimin, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. معتم الحسين يا حسين.